Sergeant Marcus Cole woke up in chains. His body hurt everywhere. His head felt like someone had hit it with a hammer. The last thing he remembered was fighting. Fighting until he could not fight anymore. 17 days. That is how long he had been a prisoner on this alien ship. 17 days of cold metal floors, strange food that tasted like dirt, and the constant clicking sounds of his captors. The Valorith were insects. Giant insects that walked on 2 legs and ruled most of the galaxy. They had 4 arms, hard shells, covering their bodies, and large compound eyes that showed no emotion. For thousands of years, they had conquered planet after planet. They believed they were the greatest species in the universe. Humans were nothing to them. Just animals from a small planet near the edge of the galaxy. Marcus thought about his home. Colony Meridian 7, a beautiful world with blue oceans and green forests. 20,000 humans had lived there. Families, children, old people who just wanted to live in peace. The Valorith came without warning. Their ships filled the sky like a dark cloud. They demanded surrender. The colony refused. So the Valorith began to kill. Marcus and his squad of 12 soldiers fought back. They were not supposed to win. They just wanted to buy time for the civilians to escape. One by one, his friends fell. Rodriguez, Chun, Okonkwo, Peterson, all of them gone. Something broke inside Marcus when the last member of his squad died in his arms. Private Sarah Mills. She was only 22 years old. She had shown him pictures of her baby daughter just that morning. After that, Marcus did not feel fear anymore. He felt only rage. When they found him, he was standing in a room full of dead Valorith warriors. 32 of them. Elite soldiers from the Queen's own honor guard. The best fighters in the entire fleet. Marcus had killed them all with just a combat knife and his bare hands. The Valorith did not understand. They had studied humans before, cut them open, looked at their muscles and bones. Humans were soft, weak, slow. Nothing special about their bodies at all. So how did this one human kill 32 of their greatest warriors? The door to his cell opened with a hiss. 4 Valorith guards walked in. They were tall, almost 7 feet, and their black shells reflected the cold light. Their mandibles clicked as they looked at him with disgust. "Get up, animal," one of them said through a small machine that translated their language. "The Queen wants to see you." Marcus stood slowly. His legs were weak from hunger, but he refused to show it. He looked at the guards and smiled. The smile made them uncomfortable. They did not understand why a prisoner would smile. They put more chains on him. Heavy metal wrapped around his wrists, his ankles, and his neck. Then they pushed him forward, out of the cell and into the ship. The Valorith flagship was called the Throne of Silence. It was massive, bigger than any human ship ever built. The corridors were made of something that looked like crystal mixed with metal. Strange lights pulsed in the walls like heartbeats. Thousands of Valorith filled the hallways. Workers, soldiers, and other castes that Marcus did not recognize. They all stopped to stare at him as he passed. Their mandibles clicked in what sounded like laughter or disgust. Maybe both. "Look at the animal," one of them said. "So small and weak," another added. "How did it kill the honor guard? There must be some mistake." Marcus kept walking. He kept his head high. He would not give them the satisfaction of seeing him broken. The walk took almost an hour. The ship was that large. Finally, they reached a massive door made of something that looked like bone. It was covered in strange symbols that glowed with soft light. The door opened slowly. Beyond it was the throne room of Queen Sorinthia. Marcus had seen many things in his life. He had traveled to distant planets. He had witnessed the beauty of nebulas and the terror of black holes. But he had never seen anything like this room. It was huge. The ceiling was so high that it disappeared into darkness. The walls were alive with moving patterns of light. Hundreds of Velareth nobles stood in rows on both sides, wearing armor decorated with gold and jewels. And at the far end, sitting on a throne that made Marcus's stomach turn, was the queen. The throne was not made of metal or stone. It was alive. A massive thing of flesh and shell and neural tissue. Tubes and wires connected it to the queen herself. It pulsed and moved like a sleeping beast. Queen Sarenthia was larger than the other Velareth. Her shell was deep purple, almost black, and decorated with patterns of silver. 6 arms extended from her body, each one ending in claws that looked sharp enough to cut steel. Her compound eyes were huge and reflected everything like mirrors. She had ruled the Third Fleet for 800 years. She had conquered more than 200 worlds. She had ordered the deaths of billions of beings. And now she was looking at Marcus Cole, a simple soldier from a small human colony. So, she said, her voice coming through the translator as cold and sharp as ice, "This is what killed my honor guard." Marcus said nothing. He just looked at her. The queen leaned forward. Her eyes seemed to study every part of him, every scar, every wound, every sign of the battles he had fought. "Such a small thing," she continued. "Such a fragile creature. My scientists tell me your species is unremarkable. Your bodies are soft. Your senses are dull. You cannot even survive in the vacuum of space without machines." She paused, waiting for him to speak. He remained silent. "Yet you killed 32 of my finest warriors. Soldiers who had fought in 100 battles. Soldiers who had never known defeat." Her mandibles clicked in what might have been anger. "How?" Marcus finally spoke. His voice was rough from days without much water, but it was steady. "They killed my friends," he said simply. "They killed innocent people, children, families, people who just wanted to live in peace. And that made you strong enough to defeat them?" The queen sounded almost amused. "That made me angry enough to not care if I died." The room went silent. The nobles looked at each other in confusion. The concept seemed foreign to them. Queen Sarenthia stared at him for a long moment. Then she rose from her living throne and walked down the steps toward him. Each step made a heavy sound on the floor. She stopped just a few feet away from him. Up close, she was terrifying, huge and powerful and ancient. "Show me," she said quietly. "Show me why I should not have you cut open and studied. Show me what makes you different from the other humans we have captured. Show me why one small animal could do what entire armies could not." Marcus looked up at her. He was not afraid. He had lost everything that mattered to him. Fear had no power over him anymore. "You want to know what makes humans different?" he asked. "Yes. Then you are going to learn something your species never understood." He smiled again, that strange smile that made the Velareth so uncomfortable. "And when you do, you will wish you had never come to our corner of the galaxy." Queen Sarenthia had ruled for 800 years. She had seen countless species bow before her. She had watched civilizations crumble under the might of the Velareth Empire. Nothing surprised her anymore. Until now. The humans stood before her, wrapped in chains that weighed more than his own body. He should have been on his knees. He should have been begging for his life. Every other species did. It was the natural order of things. But this human just stood there, looking at her with eyes that held no fear. "Kneel," she commanded. Marcus did not move. 2 guards grabbed his shoulders and forced him down. His knees hit the hard floor with a painful crack. But the moment they let go, he stood back up. "Kneel," the queen commanded again, her voice sharp with anger. The guards pushed him down once more. And once more, he rose to his feet. The nobles in the throne room began to whisper among themselves. This had never happened before. No prisoner had ever defied the queen like this. Sarenthia raised one of her clawed hands. ready to strike the human down herself. But something stopped her. Curiosity, perhaps. Or something she did not want to name. "Why you refuse?" she asked. "Because I am a soldier," Marcus replied. "I kneel to no one but my own people. Your people are dead. Your colony is ash. You have nothing left. I have my dignity. You cannot take that from me." The queen studied him for a long moment. Then she turned to one of her advisors. "Bring the neural probe," she ordered. A machine was brought forward. It looked like a helmet made of wires and metal, and something that pulsed with sickly light. The neural probe could reach into the mind of any creature and pull out its thoughts, its memories, its secrets. "This will hurt," Sarentia told Marcus. "Most subjects scream. Some go mad. But I will know everything about you. Every secret. Every weakness. Every hidden fear." Marcus watched as they placed the device on his head. He felt cold metal touch his skin. He felt the wires dig in like needles. "Do your worst," he said. The machine activated. Pain exploded through Marcus's skull. It felt like fire burning through his brain. He gritted his teeth and refused to scream. He would not give them that satisfaction. Queen Sarentia closed her eyes and connected her mind to the probe. She dove into the human's memories like a swimmer diving into deep water. She expected to find military secrets, battle plans, weaknesses, and human defenses. Information she could use to crush the rest of humanity. Instead, she found something that stopped her cold. The first memory was of a small girl with brown hair and bright eyes. She was sitting on a bed, holding a hairbrush. "Daddy, you are doing it wrong," the girl said with a laugh. Marcus sat behind her, his big soldier hands trying to braid her tiny strands of hair. He was failing completely. The braid looked more like a bird's nest. "I am trying my best, Emma," he said with a smile. "Your mom makes this look so easy." "That is because Mommy is smart. You are just strong." "Hey, I can be smart too." "Prove it." "Make the braid pretty." Marcus tried again, and failed again. The girl laughed so hard she almost fell off the bed. And Marcus laughed with her. Pure, simple joy. Sarentia felt something strange in her chest. She did not understand this memory. What was its purpose? What tactical value did it have? The memory shifted. Now Marcus stood in a garden filled with flowers. He wore a formal suit. In front of him was a woman with kind eyes and a gentle smile. She wore a white dress. "Do you, Marcus Cole, take this woman to be your wife?" someone asked. "I do," Marcus said. His voice was thick with emotion. "I will love her until my last breath and beyond." The woman laughed and cried at the same time. Then they kissed, and the people around them cheered. Sarentia pulled back in confusion. Love? The Valarith did not have this concept. They bonded through chemicals and genetic programming. They did not choose their partners. The Hive chose for them, but this human had chosen. And in that choice, there was a power she did not understand. Another memory. An old man lay in a hospital bed. Machines beeped around him. His face was pale, his body thin and weak. Marcus sat beside him, holding his hand. "I am proud of you, son," the old man whispered. "Everything you have become. Everything you will be." "Don't talk like that, Dad. You are going to be fine." "We both know that is not true." The old man smiled weakly. "But it is okay. I have had a good life. I raised a good son. What more can a man ask for?" "Dad, please, promise me something, Marcus. Promise me you will always protect the people who cannot protect themselves. That is what being strong really means. I promise." The old man closed his eyes. The machines went quiet, and Marcus wept. Sarentia felt her own mind shaking. This emotion, this grief, was overwhelming. The Valarith did not mourn their dead. The dead were simply recycled back into the hive. Their genetic material was useful. Their individual existence was not, but this human mourned. He carried his dead with him. They gave him strength instead of weakness. One more memory dot a battlefield. Smoke and fire everywhere. Marcus stood surrounded by his squad. 12 soldiers against an army of Valarith. "We are not going to make it," one of them said. "Then we make sure our deaths mean something," Marcus replied. "We fight for the people behind us. We fight for every civilian ship that escapes because we bought them one more minute. It has been an honor, Sergeant. The honor is mine. All of you. Every single one of you. You are my brothers and sisters. And I love you." They charged into battle together. Not because they expected to win, but because they refused to abandon each other. Sarentia ripped herself out of the probe. She was breathing hard. Her hands were shaking. The nobles stared at her in shock. They had never seen their queen so disturbed. "Your Majesty?" An advisor asked. "What did you see?" Sarentia did not answer. She looked at Marcus, who was bleeding from his nose and ears. The probe had hurt him badly, but he was still conscious, still defiant. "What? What are you?" she whispered. Marcus looked up at her, and in his eyes she saw something that made her ancient blood run cold. Pity. The human pitied her. "We are human," he said, his voice weak but steady. "We love. We grieve. We fight for each other. We choose to care about things bigger than ourselves. These emotions, they serve no tactical purpose. They make you weak. No, they make us strong. Stronger than you will ever understand. You are dying. Your species is small. We will crush you." Marcus actually laughed. It was a painful sound, but it was real. "You have been conquering the galaxy for thousands of years," he said. "You have seen hundreds of species. Tell me, Your Majesty, have you ever seen anyone fight like we do?" Sarentia could not answer, because she knew the truth. In all her centuries of war, she had never encountered anything like this human. "You have made a terrible mistake," Marcus continued. "You attacked our home. You killed our families. And now every single human in the galaxy knows what you are. We are the Valarith. We are the masters of all. You are about to learn what happens when you give humanity a reason to fight." Marcus smiled through the blood on his face. "And I promise you, Your Majesty, you have no idea what you have started." Marcus woke up in a medical bay. His body was wrapped in bandages and connected to machines that beeped softly. The radiation treatment had saved his life, but he felt weak in ways he had never felt before. A Valarith nurse stood beside his bed. She was young, with a shell that was lighter in color than the others he had seen. When she noticed he was awake, she quickly stepped back. "The Queen has been informed," she said through her translator. "She will be here soon." "The workers," Marcus said, his voice rough. "The 3 I pulled out. Are they okay?" The nurse hesitated. "Yes, they are recovering. They asked about you." "Good. That is good." The nurse looked at him with confusion in her compound eyes. "Why did you save them?" "We are your captors. We destroyed your home." Those 3 did not destroy anything. They were just scared workers caught in a bad situation. But they are Valarith. Does that not matter to you? Marcus was quiet for a moment. "My father used to tell me that being strong means protecting those who cannot protect themselves." He did not say to only protect humans. He said everyone. Before the nurse could respond, the door opened. Queen Sarentia entered, followed by several advisors. "Leave us," she commanded. The medical staff quickly exited. Sarentia stood at the foot of Marcus's bed, her many eyes studying him with an intensity that made the air feel heavy. "You almost died," she said. I have almost died many times. For your own people, yes. But for Valarith? Your enemy? She shook her head slowly. I do not understand you. I know. That is the problem with your empire. You divide the universe into things to conquer and things to use. You never consider that maybe everyone has value. Value comes from usefulness. This is the foundation of Valarith civilization. And look where it has brought you. Thousands of years of conquest, and you still do not know what happiness feels like. Sarenthia had no answer to this. She turned to the window, where stars drifted silently in the void. My sensors have detected something, she said quietly. Human ships. They dropped out of hyperspace 3 hours ago. Marcus's heart jumped. How many? 12 vessels. Admiral Chun's fleet, according to your military records. 12 ships. Marcus knew what that meant. The United Earth Fleet was spread thin across the galaxy. They could not spare more than 12 ships for a rescue mission. I have 200 warships under my command, Sarenthia continued. Your fleet has no chance of victory. They will be destroyed in minutes. Then why are you telling me this? The Queen turned to face him. In her eyes, he saw something he had never expected to see in a Valarith. Uncertainty. I want you to watch, she said. I want you to see what happens to those who challenge the Empire. Perhaps then you will understand the futility of resistance. Guards came to help Marcus into a floating chair. They brought him to the observation deck, a massive room with windows that stretched from floor to ceiling. The Queen's command staff was already there, monitoring screens and giving orders. Outside, Marcus could see the human fleet. 12 small ships against the might of the Valarith Armada. They looked like toys compared to the massive alien warships. They are requesting communication, an officer reported. On screen, Sarenthia commanded. A holographic image appeared. Admiral Chun, a woman in her 60s with gray hair and sharp eyes, stared out at them. This is Admiral Chun of the United Earth Fleet. We are here for our people. Release them, and we will withdraw. You are in no position to make demands, Sarenthia replied. You are outnumbered and outgunned. Surrender your ships, and I may allow your crews to live. That is not how this works. Humans do not surrender our own. Then you will die. All of you. Admiral Chun smiled. It was the same smile Marcus wore when he was about to do something stupid and brave. Maybe, she said, but we will make you remember us. The communication ended. The Valarith fleet began to move into attack formation. They are insane, one of the Valarith commanders muttered. Why do they not run? Marcus watched through the window as the human ships spread out. They were not retreating. They were preparing to attack. Because some of our people are still on this ship, he said quietly. Because retreat is not an option when family is on the line. The battle began. The Valarith opened fire with weapons that could destroy moons. Beams of energy sliced through space. Missiles launched by the hundreds, but the human ships were fast. They twisted and dodged through the fire, getting closer to the Valarith fleet instead of pulling back. The first human ship to be hit was the destroyer Defiance. It took a direct shot to the engines. The ship was crippled, unable to move, but instead of exploding, it turned toward the nearest Valarith cruiser. Full speed. It crashed directly into the enemy ship, destroying both vessels in a massive explosion. Did they just... A Valarith officer stammered. They rammed us, another said in disbelief. They sacrificed themselves to take out one of our ships. More human ships were hit, and more of them made the same choice. Damaged vessels turned into weapons, driving themselves into the enemy with their last breath. Human fighters were even worse. Tiny ships with only one pilot each. They flew directly into gun batteries, destroying the weapons even as they were destroyed themselves. Sarenthia watched in growing horror. This was not a battle. This was something else entirely. The humans were not trying to win. They were trying to hurt her fleet as badly as possible before they died. Why are they not retreating? She whispered. They cannot win. Marcus's eyes were filled with tears, but his voice was steady. They know they cannot win. They do not care. They came here to send a message. What message? That you can never take anything from humanity without paying a price. That every human life you destroy will cost you dearly. A medical frigate, a ship designed only for healing the wounded, moved between the Valarith flagship and a crippled human destroyer. It had no weapons. It was there only to shield the other ship while it evacuated its crew. The Valarith gunners fired. The medical ship was torn apart. But the destroyer's escape pods launched successfully, carrying survivors to the remaining human vessels. That ship had no weapons, Sarinthia said, her voice shaking. They send an unarmed ship to protect their wounded? That is what humans do, Marcus replied. We do not leave anyone behind. The battle continued for another hour. When it was over, 9 of the 12 human ships were destroyed. But they had taken 37 Valarith vessels with them. They had damaged dozens more. The surviving human ships were limping away, carrying everyone they had managed to rescue. They had lost the battle, but they had proven something that no species had ever proven to the Valarith before. They could be hurt. Sarinthia stood frozen. Her commanders were screaming for pursuit. They wanted to finish off the retreating humans, to punish them for their arrogance. But the Queen did not give the order. She was thinking about what she had seen. Humans diving into certain death to protect their friends. Humans choosing to die if it meant giving others a chance to live. Humans treating every single life like it mattered. In 800 years, no species had ever fought like this. No species had ever been willing to sacrifice so much for so little. And in that moment, Queen Sarinthia realized something that changed everything. She was not looking at a defeated enemy. She was looking at the most dangerous force she had ever encountered. Slowly, she turned to Marcus. He was weeping openly now, mourning the brave soldiers who had given their lives. Your people, she said quietly. They did all of this for you? For the other prisoners? They did it because we are family. All of us, every human. We would rather die than abandon each other. Sarinthia was silent for a long moment. Then she made a decision that shocked everyone in the room. All ships, stand down, she commanded. Let the humans go. Do not pursue. Your Majesty? Her commanders gasped. I said stand down. She turned back to Marcus. I have conquered 200 worlds. I have destroyed civilizations that were old when my species was young. But I have never seen anything like your people. She knelt before him. A Valarith queen kneeling before a human prisoner. Teach me, she said. Teach me what makes humanity burn so bright. Teach me how to be more than a conqueror. Marcus looked at her. He saw the sincerity in her eyes. He saw the cracks in her ancient certainty. And for the first time since his capture, he felt something like hope. Okay, he said. But it is going to take time. And you have a lot to learn. Word spread through the throne of silence like fire through dry grass. The Queen had become obsessed with the human prisoner. Every day, she visited his cell. Every day, she asked questions that no Valarith had ever thought to ask. The nobles whispered that she was going mad. The soldiers wondered if the human had somehow infected her mind. But Sarinthia did not care what they thought. For the first time in 800 years, she had found something that challenged everything she believed. Tell me about human endurance, she said one day. Sitting across from Marcus in his small cell, Marcus leaned against the wall. He was healing slowly. The Valarith had given him food and water after the neural probe incident. Not out of kindness, but because the Queen wanted him alive. What do you want to know? He asked. My scientists say humans are one of the weakest species in the galaxy. Slow, fragile, no natural weapons. Yet your soldiers fight longer than any species we have encountered. How? Marcus thought for a moment. Did you know that humans used to hunt by running? Running? That is not an effective hunting method. Not the way you think. We could not outrun our prey. So we followed it instead. We walked and jogged for hours. Days, sometimes. The animal would run away, but it would get tired. It would need to rest. But humans just kept coming. We never stopped. Eventually, the animal was so exhausted that it could not run anymore. Sarinthia's mandibles clicked in confusion. You hunted by being too stubborn to quit? Exactly. Our ancestors survived ice ages, plagues, famines, and disasters that should have killed us all. Every time the universe tried to destroy humanity, we just refused to die. That is inefficient. Maybe, but we are still here. The queen was silent for a long time. Then she asked another question. What about your medicine? I have read reports that humans cut each other open. Why would you damage yourselves? Surgery, Marcus explained. When something is broken inside our bodies, doctors open us up to fix it. They remove tumors. They repair hearts. They replace organs. Replace organs? Yes. When one human's organ fails, another human can give them their own. Kidney transplants. Liver donations. Even hearts. A human would give up part of their own body. For another human they do not even know? People donate blood all the time. They sign up to give bone marrow to strangers. Some people donate their organs after they die so that others can live. Sarinthia could not process this information. In Valarith society, the weak were allowed to die. Resources were not wasted on broken units. It was logical, efficient, but humans saved each other, even at cost to themselves. Why? She asked. What is the purpose? Because every life has value, Marcus said simply. Because the measure of a society is how it treats its weakest members. Your species confuses me more every day. Good. Maybe that means you are starting to understand. Over the following days, the queen asked about many things. She asked about human art and music. She asked about poetry and stories. She asked about things that had no tactical purpose at all. Why create beauty? She asked one day, what advantage does it provide? It makes us feel alive, Marcus replied. It connects us to each other. It reminds us that there is more to existence than just surviving. The Valarith do not have art. We do not have music. These things are wasteful. And are you happy? The question hit Sarinthia like a physical blow. Happy? The Valarith did not think in such terms. They served the hive. They fulfilled their function. That was existence. But was it happiness? She did not know. She had never considered the question. Before she could answer, alarms began to scream throughout the ship. Red lights flashed in the corridor. The Queen's communicator buzzed with urgent messages. What is happening? She demanded. Reactor malfunction on Deck 17, Your Majesty. Coolant systems have failed. If we do not contain it, the entire deck will be flooded with radiation. Sarinthia stood quickly. Deck 17 was a worker section. Low-caste Valarith, who maintained the ship's basic systems. By Valarith law, they were expendable. The logical response was to seal the deck and let them die. She turned to leave, then stopped. Marcus was looking at her with an expression she could not read. What are you going to do? He asked. The logical thing. Seal the deck. Minimize losses. How many workers are down there? Perhaps 300. But they are drone cast. Their genetic value is minimal. Marcus stood up. His chains rattled. Let me help. What? I was an engineer before I became a soldier. I know reactor systems. Let me help. You would help save Valarith lives? We are your enemy. We destroyed your colony. Those workers did not destroy anything. They are just people trying to do their jobs. Let me help them. Something cracked inside Sarinthia's mind. Another piece of her worldview crumbling. Very well, she said. Guards, bring him. They rushed to Deck 17. The situation was worse than reported. Radiation was already leaking from the reactor. The Valarith workers were evacuating in chaos, trampling each other in their panic to escape. Clear the area. A commander shouted. Seal the doors. Right off the deck. Wait. Marcus pushed forward. If you seal it now, you trap everyone still inside. Give me 5 minutes. You are a prisoner. You have no authority here. Let him try, Sarinthia commanded. The commander hesitated, then stepped aside. Marcus ran toward the reactor room. The radiation was getting stronger. He could feel it burning his skin. Human bodies were not built for this. Inside the reactor room, he found the problem. A coolant pipe had cracked. The fix was simple if you knew what to do, but there were 3 Valarith workers trapped in the corner. They were young, probably new to the ship. They were shaking with fear. Come on, Marcus shouted. We need to get out. The radiation, one of them said. We will die if we move. You will definitely die if you stay. Marcus grabbed the nearest one and started pulling. Move, now! He led them through the maze of pipes and machines. The radiation burned his lungs. His vision was starting to blur, but he kept moving. They reached the door just as the emergency shields activated. Marcus pushed the 3 workers through, then collapsed on the other side. Medical teams rushed forward. They carried the workers away to treatment. They tried to carry Marcus too, but he waved them off. The reactor, he gasped. Someone needs to fix the pipe. You are too damaged, a medic said. The radiation exposure is severe. I don't care. If that reactor blows, everyone on this deck dies. He pushed himself back up. His body screamed in pain. Every cell felt like it was on fire. He went back into the reactor room. He found the cracked pipe. With hands that shook from radiation sickness, he sealed the damage. It was not a perfect fix, but it would hold until proper repairs could be made. When he finally emerged, he fell to his knees. His skin was red and blistering. His breath came in painful gasps. Queen Sarinthia was standing there, watching him. Why? She demanded. They are Valarith. They kept you prisoner. They are your enemy. Marcus looked up at her. His vision was fading, but he managed a weak smile. They were scared, he said. I could help. That is enough. He collapsed completely. The medics rushed in to carry him away. Sarinthia stood frozen. Around her, Valarith workers stared at the spot where the human had fallen. The 3 workers he had saved were weeping, though they did not understand why. For the first time in 800 years of rule, Queen Sarinthia did not know what to believe. And somewhere, far across the stars, human ships were preparing to strike. They were coming for their soldier. They were coming for their family. The Valarith had made a terrible mistake, and now they would learn the true price of their arrogance. 6 months had passed since the Battle of the Throne of Silence. In that time, the galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. Marcus Cole stood on a balcony, overlooking a massive assembly hall on the neutral station of Haven Prime. He wore a formal uniform now. Not the armor of a soldier, but the dress of an ambassador. The change still felt strange to him. He had spent his whole life fighting. Peace was a new kind of challenge. Below him, representatives from dozens of species were gathering. Tall beings made of crystal. Short creatures covered in fur. Things that looked like floating clouds of gas. All of them had come to witness something that had never happened in galactic history. Peace between humanity and the Valarith Empire. A door opened behind him. Queen Sarinthia walked out onto the balcony. She had changed too. Her armor was less decorated now, simpler. She said it made her feel more connected to her people instead of above them. "Are you nervous?" she asked. "A little," Marcus admitted. 6 months ago, I was a prisoner in chains. Now I am supposed to sign a treaty that will affect billions of lives. You were always meant for great things, Marcus Cole. I saw it in your memories. You just did not know it yet. They stood together, watching the assembly fill with beings from across the galaxy. "How are the reforms going?" Marcus asked. Slowly. Change is difficult for a species that has not changed in 10,000 years. Sarinthia made a sound that Marcus had learned was a Valarith sigh. "But we are trying. The Dronecasts have been given the right to choose their own work for the first time in our history. Artists have appeared among our young. They create strange things that serve no purpose except to make others feel. That is art. Yes, it is disturbing and wonderful, both at the same time." Marcus smiled. "Welcome to being human. I am not human. No. But you are learning to be something better than you were. That is all any of us can do." A chime sounded through the station. It was time for the ceremony to begin. Marcus and Sarinthia walked down to the main floor together. The crowd parted before them. Species that had been enemies of the Valarith for centuries watched in amazement as the Queen walked beside a human like he was her equal. Because to her, he was. They reached a stage where the treaty documents waited. Holographic cameras floated everywhere, broadcasting to 1 trillion beings across the galaxy. Admiral Chun was there, standing with the human delegation. She had survived the battle, though half of her fleet had not. When she saw Marcus, she saluted. "Sergeant Cole, it is good to see you in one piece." "It is good to be in one piece." "Admiral, ambassador now, I hear." The universe has a sense of humor. The ceremony was long and formal. There were speeches from both sides. There were translations into dozens of languages. There were rituals that meant nothing to Marcus, but everything to other species watching. Finally, they reached the signing of the Meridian Accords, the treaty that would end the war and begin a new era. Queen Sarinthia spoke first. Her words were broadcast to every corner of the galaxy. For 10,000 years, the Valarith Empire has believed itself the peak of evolution. We conquered because we could. We destroyed because it was efficient. We saw other species as tools to be used, not beings to be respected. She paused, her compound eyes sweeping over the crowd. We were wrong. A murmur went through the assembly. No Valarith queen had ever admitted wrong before. 6 months ago, one human soldier showed me something I had never seen. Not strength of arms or superior technology. Something far more powerful. He showed me compassion. He showed me love. He showed me that true strength is not measured by how many you can conquer, but by how many you can lift up. She turned to look at Marcus. Humanity has taught the Valarith that we can be more than conquerors. We can be builders. We can be healers. We can be something better than we have ever been. Then it was Marcus's turn to speak. He stepped forward, his heart pounding. He was just a soldier. He did not know how to give speeches that would change history, so he just told the truth. "I'm not going to stand here and pretend that everything is perfect," he said. "The Valarith destroyed my colony. They killed people I loved. There are wounds that will take generations to heal." The crowd was silent. "But I have also seen something beautiful in these past 6 months. I have seen change. Real change. Valarith workers who were once considered worthless are now creating art. Soldiers who only knew how to destroy are learning to protect. A queen who ruled through fear is learning to lead through trust. He looked at Saranthia, then back at the crowd. Humanity is not special because we are strong. We are special because we choose to care. We choose to love. We choose to fight for things bigger than ourselves, even when it costs us everything. He picked up the pen to sign the treaty. This treaty is not the end. It is the beginning. The beginning of a galaxy where strength is measured not by the weapons you carry, but by the compassion in your heart. He signed his name. Saranthia signed hers. And with those two signatures, history changed. The crowd erupted in sound. Cheers and clicks and whistles and 100 other expressions of emotion from 100 different species. For the first time in living memory, there was hope that the galaxy might know peace. Later, after the ceremony, Marcus found a quiet corner to rest. His body was still weak from the radiation damage, and the day had been exhausting. Saranthia found him there. "There is something I need to ask you," she said. "Something I have been wondering about for months. What is it? Do you forgive us? For what we did to your colony? Your family? Your people?" Marcus was quiet for a long time. The question deserved careful thought. "My wife and daughter were on one of the evacuation ships," he finally said. "They made it out before the colony fell. I just found out last month. That is wonderful news. Why did you not tell me? Because forgiveness should not depend on whether my family survived." He met her eyes. "You asked if I forgive you. The honest answer is that forgiveness is earned. It is not something you just give. It is something you build through actions over time. And have we earned it? You are earning it. Every reformed law, every freed worker, every piece of art your people create, every time you choose compassion over conquest. That is how you earn forgiveness." He extended his hand, a human gesture that Saranthia had learned to understand. She took it. "Then we will keep earning it," she said. "For as long as it takes." They stood together for a moment. A human and a Velarth queen, former enemies. Now something that might, one day, be called friends. A door opened. A small figure ran through. A girl with brown hair and bright eyes. "Daddy." Marcus caught his daughter in his arms and held her tight. His wife followed, her kind eyes filled with tears of joy. They had been brought to the station for the ceremony, but this was the first moment Marcus had been alone with them. "I missed you," Emma said into his shoulder. "I missed you so much." "I missed you too, sweetheart. More than you will ever know." His wife joined the embrace. For a moment, nothing else existed. Just the three of them together again. Saranthia watched from a distance. She saw the love between them. She saw the way they held each other like nothing else mattered. And for the first time in her long life, she felt something she had never felt before. She wanted that. Not conquest. Not power. She wanted connection. She wanted to matter to someone not because of her title, but because of who she was. Perhaps, with time, she could learn how to build that too. The final event of the day was a joint address to the galaxy. Saranthia stood before the assembled cameras one last time. "We believed ourselves the pinnacle of evolution," she said. "We were wrong. There's a species from a small world orbiting an unremarkable star who taught us that true strength is not conquest. It is connection. It is love. It is the stubborn, irrational choice to protect those who cannot protect themselves." She looked at Marcus, standing with his family in the crowd. "Humanity has shown us what we could become. And for that, the Velarth Empire is forever grateful." The broadcast ended. The crowds began to leave. But the words lingered in the minds of trillions of beings across the galaxy. In the days and weeks that followed, something remarkable happened. Other species began to look at humanity differently, not as primitives to be conquered or ignored, but as something far more important, a symbol of hope, a reminder that compassion was stronger than cruelty, that love was stronger than fear. That one person, with enough courage and kindness, could change everything. The galaxy was vast and cold and often cruel. But somewhere in that darkness, a small species from a small planet was proving that there was another way. And in the end, that made all the difference.